As I'm sure you guessed from the title, I did my backpacking trip this time in the Great Smoky Mountains. Specifically, I focused in on the southeastern portion where I could do the Hemphill Bald Rough Fork Trail loop. I took the Heintooga Road up to the trailhead where I took the Hemphill Bald Trail up to where it met the Cataloochee Divide Trail. After the 5.5 miles to get here, the Hemphill Bald Trail turns northwest for about 2.9 miles, losing almost 2,000 feet in the process. Upon reaching the bottom of the mountain, we turn left or west onto the Caldwell Fork Trail for about 0.2 of a mile to reach campsite 41. The next day, we continued west on the Caldwell Fork Trail for about 1.5 miles. I then turned left or southwest onto the Rough Fork Trail and continued on that for about 3.5 miles before reaching the trailhead and the car. Sylvan Reflections Channel. We are here at the Hemphill Bald Trailhead on Heintooga Rood. There we are. We're sitting right here at Hemphill Bald Trailhead. Just a little about 1.5 miles. We're going to go to the right and head there. So it's about 4 miles to the Hemphill Bald. We'll take a look at that and get back on the trail and keep on going till it takes a sharp easterly downhill bend, taking us towards Caldwell Fork. Let's get started. This is just a beautiful trail starting out. Of course, we're up around 5,000 some-ish feet. So we're up on the ridge. Nice flat trail, no roots to slip and slide on. This is how I like the hiking to be. And found a pretty flower here. We should be able to see more of them, I'm guessing, but I'll include this one real quick in case not. There you go, it's pretty. This one has a real pretty splash of yellow that looks like the cutleaf coneflower. And assuming I've identified that correctly, you can see from that cone shape in the center how it would get its name. Now here are some interesting shelf fungi. I can't forget our favorites. There we go. That's a much better picture of the crimson bee balm. That radial array of red for the crimson bee balm really gets the attention. It's at times like this you can see the remains of what used to be here before it became the national park, the leftover remnants of people whose homestead they're living. This was their place. It is incredibly evocative. And my apologies about the audio. I'm just having to use the phone's own audio because I forgot and left my microphone at the house. It's pretty there, isn't it? Looking at its square stem and all, I think this one is one of the mountain mints. One of the things you're going to hear me always ramble on about just a little bit is the fact that the Smoky Mountains, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, is an international biosphere reserve. It's made so because of its tremendous diversity due to ecological zonation, the different ecological zones created by changes in elevation on all the concurrent climatic and microclimate variables that change with the unique topography that creates all those vertical zones. It's just incredibly beautiful. And as you get higher up, you start to see the different zones. And you can see we're at the 5,000, 52, 5,300 elevation. You can see the trees, not quite so many deciduous. First rest break. We're about a mile in, I think. And I forgot, since we're heading to Hemphill Bald, or right past where you can see Hemphill Bald, that's about the highest point locally in the area is Hemphill Bald, I believe. If we're heading to it, we're probably going to be going uphill, and sure enough, we were. So we're about a mile from Sheep
something or other gap, and about 2.3 miles in a straight line. So probably about 2.5 to 2.6 miles from Hemphill Bald, where we go right past it. You look perpendicularly off the trail, so got a little bit to go, but meanwhile it doesn't hurt to recharge just a little bit. Since we're going and ending the hike where there's lots of water, may as well guzzle it and lighten the load a little.
This is either the native Turk's cap lily or the introduced tiger lily, and they're rather difficult to tell apart. Since we're close to the trailhead, I'll just say it's a tiger lily. Either way, they're very pretty.
Yeah, Smokies is justifiably famous for this, isn't it? It's a little more in bloom. I tell you what, with all the heat of summer, one of the nice things about being up at high elevation is it tends to be a little cooler. It may not be ice cold, but at least it's almost downright pleasant sometimes. And right now with the breeze going, it feels so good. It's so nice to be over 5,000 feet. We have some other flowers here, but just they're kind of through flowering, but you should recognize them if you've been watching my other videos. You can see here the leftover, it looks like the false Sullivan seal, while the blooms were at the terminus. Not sure, I think these are like the ramps or something, but I don't see any leaves down at the bottom.
I meant this to be an artistic insert, but somebody went and called me and made the phone ring right during that brief moment that I had cell signal. It did make a nice resting place.
There we go. There's the wild hydrangea we know and love. Oh, that's kind of pretty.
I really do love the rhododendron. They are beautiful flowers, whether they're the white-petaled rosebay variety or the pink-tinged petaled catawba.
Very, very pretty. I think that's the poison fly, whatever.
This was a new one for me, the fly poison. On my last backpacking video on the Cataloochee Divide backpacking trip. It is somewhat reminiscent of the heartleaf foam flower with its clusters of flowers with small petals and protruding stamens, but it is different, and it is uniquely pretty. Very beautiful.
This has been just a beautiful day. You can see it trail going from this lush green where there's more openness to the sky into the rhododendron covered area right up here. And you can see it gets all nice and shaded in here. You see the fence line that we're coming up to. And the rocks. Beautiful sitting area right here, like your own little waiting room. Look at that. Look, the trees going right over top of the rocks. Just gorgeous. Looks like we have some more self-heal, I think.
I believe the actual name is common self-heal, which, as it indicates, it is rather common. It's also reported to have certain health benefits.
I am not sure what this is.
The big leaves down below really do remind me of a ramp, but that is very bright color.
We just left the trail, Hemphill Bald Trail, to my left here about 10 feet and crossed over the park boundary line. The Great National Park boundary is within about 3 feet to maybe 1 foot off the trail at this part. And I stepped off here and it looks like we're looking at Fee Top, F-I-E, looking out across here. Probably Swag property, that resort.
Actually, it's probably the Cataloochee Ranch property. As you can see on the red figure on the map, It's an extensive piece of property that borders it for quite a while, and you can see the red dot there where the Hemphill Bald is.
But it really is kind of pretty if you look a little bit there on a few top, I believe it is. I need to make up some time here because I've been just a little excessively easygoing. There we go. Back to the Hemphill Bald Trail. As we mentioned, the Smokies is famous for its mushrooms. Now, some of them are really subtle and blend in, like this one here. That is really, really pretty.
Okay, it's pretty much the opposite of blending in, but it is pretty. And I love these reddish ones coming out of the shining club moss. And this one looks like the edge of a dime or something. Really beautiful.
Just think, national park, private property, national park. It's like that for a mile or so of Hemphill Bald, a couple miles, 2-3 miles of that, and then another mile or so, couple miles or more of Cataloochee Divide. Just something else.
Just looking across the park boundary or fence into what I believe is still the Cataloochee Ranch property.
Okay, we have some type of mint. I don't know, maybe mountain mint.
As with the previous plant, I think this is some kind of mountain mint. Maybe different species, I'm not sure.
Get a little closer.
Based on the flowers, the ray florets, and especially the cluster of disc florets, and when you combine it with the leaves, it sure makes me think yarrow.
Looks like the white bergamot. The leaves are a touch stressed perhaps, but still the pretty one.
This is just a freeze frame from the phone's video. I sure wish I'd taken a picture with my DSLR. But even so, it's still pretty, isn't it?
Very, very pretty. I think this is a new one for me.
Here's another new one, the Starry Campion. I love that fringe. Almost reminds me a little bit of the fringe of Phacelia. And yet another new one. Looking at the characteristics of the ray florets and the disc florets, it sure looks a lot like Schreiber's aster to me. Looking at the cone shape of the disc, this sure makes me think cutleaf coneflower. And I thought I'd share you a progression of the disc florets as they come out. At this point, none have come out. And here, some have come out. And here, almost all of them have come out.
Well, this happens in areas where it's cleared out, like we are right here at the edge of the park boundary. You get lots of flowers you otherwise wouldn't. You can see we've got some really pretty purple ones.
The American bellflower is really pretty with its eye-catching purple petals.
Virginia spiderwort, I think it is.
And here we have a spiderwort. I believe it's the Virginia spiderwort. I love the purple blue of the flowers with the long, thin leaves.
Here's another really pretty one, like a shooting star. But just very, very pretty.
The wild columbine is really pretty. I love the red cones going up, the petals splaying out, and that brilliant yellow shooting out from underneath.
Do you ever think, one of these times when I take a rest, wouldn't it be nice just to sit down and talk with some friends? This time, I'm able to do that. Admittedly, it won't be much of a conversation, but still, it's nice to share it with some fellow tetrapods. We are just now reaching almost the top of...
Yes, that's right.
Hemphill Bald.
Very nice of them to help me remember like that, don't you think?
I'm thinking we found a few more of the white bergamots.
The white bergamot just looks so cool with that uniquely shaped radial symmetry.
All right, we just left the trail. You see the yellow flowers behind me. That's the national park. Where I'm standing is just on the other side of the park boundary at Hemphill Bald. So those yellow flowers I just showed you, as we come around, a little quick there, then I'll slow down here. It is truly a beautiful, beautiful vista. And if we go about that way, about
3 miles, I'd say.
on the left will be the Science Center there in the Purchase Knob area. Okay, I'm still sitting here at that rock here at Hemphill Bald, just at the overlook. It is a tremendous view, as you saw. So I stopped, had some more water, finished off the last swallow or so of the half liter, so filled it up, poured in one of these little propel things, put them in there. So I got the electrolytes, some of the sugars, and so it's a little bit of a nice little bit of a boost. Refilled my water bottle. That finished off 1 liter, so now I only have a single 1 liter bottle left. So I'm down to about 1 liter total. But Campsite 41, more water than you know what to do with, and 1 liter going just downhill on a fairly cloudy day. It's gonna be fairly cool the rest of the day, it looks like. So it shouldn't be any problem. Now it's about 4:45. Getting towards 5, so I probably won't get to camp until, I don't know, 7 maybe, I'm guessing. Should be just enough light to set up camp. Now it's time to put this away, pack up, and hit the trail. Wow, I don't know if you can tell, because the camera here adjusts for light, but it just went from nice and sunny to this almost eerie twilight kind of light, as we got a fairly heavy cloud coming over, and we're starting to get some rain. Man, it can change sudden. Finally went ahead and pulled off the rain. And it's rained heavy enough I had to put this on, pick my camera. So, we didn't even get to make it to where we met Cataloochee Divide yet. We're almost there. You'd think it could have waited, right? Oh well. I'll just turn this off and put it under my poncho and keep hiking.
I believe this is of the marasmus genus. Just watching an Adventure Archives episode where they went to the Smokies and saw this mushroom. I think this is the same one. And of course, it's hard to go anywhere without seeing the Christmas fern. Frankly, I've run out of time, but it kind of looks like a bracken, intermediate, or maybe even common lady fern. I'll have to look that one up a little bit later.
Okay, rain's letting off a little bit, and as you can see, we're nearing an important landmark. All right. Yep. This right here, on the Purchase Knob Cataloochee Divide hike that I did last time, I came down this trail, hit this intersection, and went down this trail here, which is the continuation of Hemphill Bald the way we came. Only it turns left here and heads westish, straight downhill. So this is going to take us down to Caldwell Fork trail, and we'll hang a left on that. No wonder the Smoky Mountains is known for its fungi. That is just amazing. As you can see, our Hemphill Bald Trail, when it started to go down the mountain, has become a gentle stream I get to walk down. Could be worse. You gotta love the extra heat and humidity that builds up under your poncho trying to stay dry. Which kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? Like I said, it could be much worse. And there is a beauty that is present in the rain that you don't get any other time. Okay, we've come up to a stream, and since it's been raining, it has filled up nicely. And there's just no way across it, no way else to do it. I'm just going to have to step on the high points, hope it doesn't go over my boots. Don't know if you can tell or not, but it is raining pretty heavy. As you can see, it's just pounding. So you won't see much recording until the rain lets up. It's been pretty much raining the whole Hemphill Bald Trail since we started downhill. And I've been pretty much nothing more than a big water rock-filled ditch that I get to stumble through all the way down. So not my favorite section of this hike. But there are compensations. You know, it is pretty. And we have some familiar friends here.
While this one is pretty common, it is a really cool flat little scale look to it.
Of course, the partridge berry we're familiar with. And here's interesting, here's one of the trilliums after it's finished blooming. You can see the fruit there. Not only that, we are coming to the end of the trail, and that the dark spot there is indeed the sign that we've been looking for. Specifically, the intersection where Hemphill Bald hits Caldwell Fork. Okay, so now here we're going to travel south-ish, west, south or west in that direction on it, and to our campsite about 2/10 of a mile, and we're there. We recognize this, or my previous Cataloochee Divide Trail video, and Cataloochee hike of 2021, I forget which. There it is, and that's where I love to come and eat breakfast and watch the water. It's just a beautiful, beautiful little seating area. Right at about 7, so pretty close on my prediction. Alright, I'm going to shut this off and charge it for a while. This campsite was occupied the last 2 times I came up here, but since it was open, I went out up here, and as you can see, we are right next to the water, so I still get the flowing water view when I wake up in the morning and when I go to bed at night.
Decided to go ahead and filter some water before the evening got too far along. Here I'm using my Sawyer filter that I've had for about 3 years. It's a little tedious sometimes, but it's been working pretty well. I think, though, I'm going to retire this one and switch over to something like the platypus, or something that has a bigger pouch that opens up at one end and that you can scoop up the water quick. It's a little tedious trying to get the water through that little hole in the front. But it still works pretty well. As you can see here, it doesn't take me all that long to get the water I need.
Okay, it's steaming, so it should be, yeah, it is a hard boil. Wow. Alright, let's pour it in. And this time, I brought my ketchup to put in there because it's the vegetarian lasagna, which is really good. It's just that, just a bit mild and bland on flavor, so we're going to try that.
And it really did help. It gave it a lot more flavor, but it now tastes a lot better. Then I cleaned up, put everything away, crawled into my hammock, and went to bed.
Okay, good morning. Got surprisingly cool last night. I was able to sleep fairly well, about 6:20 now, 6:15. So it's probably time to get up and see what I can get accomplished.
Just past 7, or 7 o'clock actually. And it's lightened up a little bit. My hat is nothing more than like a soggy rag. After rain or heavy moisture, it'll do that. Since I didn't have a fire last night, I could have sawed up some wood around here, but hours long, fairly heavy rain. It just doesn't seem worth the effort.
And then it was time for breakfast.
I've got the little Esbit stove going. Thanks, Isaac. And we also have a little jet, and that one's ready. So it's time for me to get ready to eat.
You know how in the fancy restaurants they charge you an arm and a leg to set you at a table so you can eat right by the water? Come backpacking. You can do that all the time. For free. It really is incredibly beautiful to sit right there and enjoy the water rushing past. You can't find a better setting. Even if you're just eating instant oatmeal, it's still an incredibly wonderful experience.
All right, we are just now leaving camp, 8:45. So again, took my time, just enjoying the stream, having all kinds of fun. So now it's time to get going, so we're off hitting the trail. Okay, we have ourselves another cool fungi. I think this one's a gem-studded puffball, or at least closer related. It is kind of pretty, isn't it? Alrighty, looks like we are coming up on trail marker of some kind. Detour. Okay, big poplars. Okay, so if you go and take that route, that'll take you some really huge tulip poplars. Just a little side trail. Can't miss out on my favorite here, rattlesnake plantain. Got to load the fords, or the streams that we have to ford. Oh boy, lots of mud. There we go, not too bad. Looks like we're dealing with the heart foam flower. Get you a little closer here.
It is a beautiful flower, and I have some fairly nice photos from earlier hikes, but I forgot to take one with the DSLR this time.
Oh, after a good, 20, 30 minutes of trudging up the Caldwell Fork, we are finally to the point where we are approaching our intersection. Okay, we just came 1.4 miles. And now we just have Poles Gap. I think that's where we're heading to, 3.5. So, off we go. These little guys right here have been all over the place. Still breeding season for them, I guess. So, on to Rough Fork Trail is this one that we're turning onto here, off of Caldwell. Up towards Poles Gap. I was excited getting to the intersection, but when you look at the uphill, oh well. A step closer is a step closer, even if it is 6 or 8% grade. Here we have some of that really pretty coral fungi.
I've seen this on several of my backpacking trips, and I've really enjoyed every time. Those tiny little fork tips look so cool.
It doesn't look nearly as brown after rain. It looks a lot more black. A little. But there's our bear corn. We're just coming to the corner here. We round the corner and we are almost to where it kind of levels out a bit. For the most part, it's going from this, kind of like this, to still uphill, but a little more like this. More doable. What a pretty sight. As you can see, turning the corner, it's uphill. Here we have some Gaelics. There we go. It is still pretty. Can't remember if we saw this one already or not.
It does look familiar, but I just can't remember. It is very pretty, the smooth yellow false foxglove.
This is celebration time. After non-stop ascent for what I feel like has been about 3,000 feet, probably less than 1,000 or at 1,000. For the first time, level. Oh, and even a slight little downhill for a second. That is so nice to see. Really does lift the spirits after all that uphill ascent. We got some more upward to go. Of cool. Here's a cool one. I like this one. Haven't seen it since my first or second hike in 2020. I think it's the ghost flower, ghost pipe, Indian, something like that. Parasitic, so it has no chlorophyll. Really cool.
Since it is parasitic and gets its energy from other plants, it doesn't need to waste time and energy making chlorophyll for photosynthesis.
Well, we did another little bit of elevation gain. Now we've settled out on a rise. We're skirting the edge of one of these ridges that are to the right. We peeled off the ridge and going around, and then the ridge is going to come down. We're going to join it so we don't have to do massive up and down. I thought that was nice of the people who did the trails. Now we get to go through a field of daisies. I mean, not daisies, I think it's sunflower, small sunflower, mountain, something like that. And if that's not enough, we can enjoy some white bergamot. I know I didn't focus on that one. And if that's not enough, we can focus here on the red or the crimson bee balm. That's quite a show here in the space of about 10 feet. Okay, we have a beautiful little spotted wintergreen.
Wow, the spotted wintergreen along with the rattlesnake plantain are one of my all-time favorites. That dark, rich green with the creamy light green going through it. It is spectacular.
Okay, I've got a few issues here. Minor. First of all, good news is that I'm only about a mile, 1.125 miles from the car. The downside is that extra 1 liter bottle that I had filtered, I just got it out to refill my half liter that I'd finished off, and there's stuff floating around in there, so I'm starting to wonder if that Sawyer filter is just a little too old. I'm probably going to retire it after this hike. I'm only a mile. That's easy enough. So I think we'll be okay. And it's not quite as steep as it used to be, so that helps. Just did one of those goo gels, you know, go power gel type things. And now without water, but it's only a mile. It'll work out. Well, that's nice. I'm about maybe 3/4 of a mile from the Heintooga Rood, and first big break that lets me look out onto the mountains. Beautiful. We are rapidly approaching the end. In fact, if you'll take a look up here, you can see the gate, the big steel gate. And right beyond it, you can see the clearing, the cars, etc. Yeah, that's where we came from. 3.5 miles since we turned on to the Rough Fork Trail here. Meanwhile, we're going to head over here and enjoy. Ah, there it is, there it is. Glad it's still here. All right, we are back at the car here. It is another successful trip. We saw some interesting animals, including that gray cheek salamander I wish I had caught on film. It was really beautiful to see all those flowers. Even though I've seen most of those flowers before, it's gorgeous. Well, that's another one done. Thank you for joining me. This is Graybeard for Sylvan Reflections saying thank you for watching. Please join me on the next video. Also, please, if you like this, please do subscribe. That will really help me out. And like the video if you would, please. Thank you so much. Catch you next time. Turns out we did see some pretty big quadrupeds, other than the cows.